everybody. This is Dr. Shah, and today I have Dr. Awad with me today. She's a good friend, physician, and coach that is joining us. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, thanks for having me. I am Heather Awad, and I'm a family doctor in Minnesota. And the work I do now, though, is I help women over 50 lose weight for the last time because I'm also a certified coach.
I love that. So then we were chatting, and you're telling me about the work you do. And because I'm in obesity medicine, I think that sometimes people come in and they've just felt, okay, I can't lose weight. Like I'm 50 years old. Maybe they've had menopause, or maybe they've gained weight in menopause, and it just seems like not doable at all anymore. Tell me a little bit about why that's not true.
I hear that all the time. I feel like two-thirds of my clients come in and say that. I just didn't believe I could do it. But I think that comes from that what you did at 25, if you had to lose weight, it isn't the same, doesn't work anymore, which that part is true. But what I would tell people is that we have good understanding of how our digestive hormone cycles are. And we also understand how things change in women's bodies around menopause time, that doing it is different now, perhaps, but is also extremely doable. In fact, most of the people that work with you and I at this age get going and then say, oh, actually, this is pretty simple.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing to me recently was someone who shared that they've lost in a way that's doable rather quickly than maybe like a previous point in their life where they were, I call it death by treadmill, running and nothing was moving. How do you share hope with people? Because I think that after a life of dealing with weight, yo-yo dieting, just the scale not budging, and then there's so much that our weight impacts in our life and our well-being. How do you just like really guide someone and show them that there is hope and there are things available that can make a big difference?
Sure. I try that really all foods are fine to eat because we get from diet culture, don't eat any of this or any of that, or don't have fruit or things like that. And then there's a culture of overeating right now and a culture of eat all day, which really both of those work against your digestive hormones. It doesn't take a lot to cut that back just a little bit. And then all of a sudden, naturally, your body starts releasing fat. It's not that I think the great news is that you don't have to redo your whole life, but by making some small changes, you'll start to see, oh, yes, this is going to work.
Yeah, I love that. You shared with me an interesting email recently, and it just really got my attention. And can you share with me? So it was what to do when you're in the break room at work and there's pastries or donuts there. What do you do? So I think from diet mentality, what most people do is we want to white knuckle through. It's no, I said I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. But then we ultimately wind up rebelling against ourselves and we just give in and eat the donut. For me, I have been known in my past self polish off like literally maybe a whole cake, a whole dozen brownies, dozen cupcakes. It would not surprise you. I'm the kid or the young adult or the young professional who you would not leave like the cookies and snacks next to you because it would be gone, like way more than gone. My own kids sometimes won't let me hold their treat because they're afraid. I've learned some of these things along the way. I think people that know me as the now me may not even recognize that was things that I've struggled with in the past. But tell me, what do you say when someone needs to go into the break room and they see this trigger for you? What when they do?
Right. Willpower in general is struggling and it's hard work. And I hate struggle and hard work. So I think that just doing the opposite of fighting against it is really helps to just sit there and notice, yes, this is super uncomfortable because I want that donut. And I've decided that I'm not going to eat it today because I'm on a weight loss journey or I'm trying to eat healthier or I had 3 yesterday. And so today is not my day, but just to allow that feeling of discomfort and just examine it. What is it? Is it just because it's a habit? We always have donuts in the break room. Is it the smell of them? Do you have a thought that I discovered that I would have this thought said, I want that when I didn't even know it was there. But just to sit there and be okay with feeling uncomfortable that, gosh, I want that donut, but I also don't want that donut. Just letting yourself live with that discomfort, I think is a great way to just let the urge be there.
Yeah, it's not. Even though it feels so emergent and urgent, it's not going to kill us to just feel it. I always relay this. I think most of my lessons in life have come strikingly from becoming a parent. So one of my biggest things was I have twins and they hated the car seat. And I am like a seatbelt, like you have to wear a seatbelt, you have to be buckled in the car seat, just such a stickler on that and safety. So we were going and they were really tiny and they were screaming, like screaming at the top of their lungs. And I was not going to pull over because I needed to get home. And I was not going to unbuckle them, even though, yeah, they would stop crying. I was like, no, this is what's safe. This is what's right. And I just dealt with the screaming and whatever chaos there was literally for 20 minutes on the way home because I knew that the screaming wasn't going to kill them. It wasn't a great feeling for them nor I, but I relayed that into how I broke up with like my own habits of just answering to that urge of eating all the desserts and eating whatever was in sight. One that worked because again, I know we both share that it's like this primitive like behaviors that we haven't really undone or worked on before. That is adding to our waistline and adding this extra weight. So for me, feeling that discomfort was like, dude, if I can let my kids cry for that long, and then if it does hurt, like we're both moms, we know that it
Yeah.
does hurt our soul when we hear that. I just balance it with like, if I can go through that, I can say no to it. I just feel at that point, it's like when I'm comparing those feelings, it just felt very mild, like into something different. It wasn't overly dramatic for me when I compared the feelings. And it felt a little different to say no, but I'm choosing that path to say no.
Yes. And feeling like when you make that choice, oh, here I am having my own back. It's a cool thing. Me, myself, and I are walking through the break room and I wasn't happy about that urge with the donut, but hey, me, myself, and I are walking out of the break room now and we didn't have it.
And it's okay. Yeah. Like, I don't know. This is great. Like, we feel good about it. I love that. I think that's so important, right? When we cheer ourselves on and like those little moments celebrate, we're not having the thing that we plan not to have.
Yes. And I think I work with a lot of women over 50 who have put so many other people first in life too, that it's that time in life to stop and say, actually, I'm going to keep commitments to myself. What do I want? What's going to serve me best? And they haven't said that a lot in their life. And it's a great time to say it if you haven't said it before.
Those boundaries and putting ourselves first. At whatever point when we're like for women and then even over 50, if we haven't done it before, it is new and awkward sometimes too. Telling people who like you may have dropped the world for that. No, I can't do that. I'm going to go do something for myself today. That's a little different.
It is. And we've been told it's selfish, but it actually isn't. Because if you get down to it, you know what selfish is. If you left your kids and said, you don't get dinner tonight, and I know you can't reach the stove, they're not old enough to cook, that's selfish. If they have food and someone to care for them, it's not selfish to go do something for yourself.
You're right. How is that something you see a lot with is like with women struggling with putting themselves first or starting to put themselves first? Is that common?
It is. And I think part of it too is we have food pushers in our lives when we go places. And so then you have that whole dynamic again. Am I being selfish for not eating what these people want me to eat
Yeah.
at the event, whether they made it or not, or whatever? They'll say to me, I don't want to be that person who doesn't eat something at the event. And since I'm not in there, I can empathize with this, but I'm not with them at the event. So I feel like, so they can tell you what to eat and when to eat and how much, and that's okay. It's really it, right? We should all be responsible to choose what goes in our bodies and when.
I love talking about food pushers. I have a lot of food pushers in my life. We're going too. And it seems like I'm breaking their hearts every single time. I made this for you. I'm like, but why? I told you I'm not eating.
Yeah.
What are some ways that, aside from questioning it back, are there some other tactics that you share with your clients about how to navigate the world of food pushers?
Sure. Like you have talked about a situation where it's someone that you know and you can tell them I'm not going to be eating. So that's a nice boundary to set and you can feel really comfortable and clean about that then. But sometimes what I'll have people do is they've eaten, they're done and someone wants to give them more. And I'll say, what if you said, oh, can you pack that up and I'll take it home? Because most of the food pushers are the people who are like food as love.
Yeah.
Well, you have accepted their love. And you can literally throw that in the garbage when you leave because you've already accepted the love. It doesn't mean that's the important next step is you don't actually have to eat that. You've already accepted the love.
Yeah, and I think it's just a really lovely way of saying, yes, it'll be great. It'll be great to take home. But then we don't have to eat it. We can just eat it, but we don't have to eat it. So this brings on just like a natural segue to another area of life that I think a lot of people deal with is food waste.
Yes.
And what I love about like speaking with you right now as I'm going through the topic, like we are just addressing areas where we overeat, food pushers, boundaries, food waste. And it's not necessarily just mindless eating or unintentional eating in the break room, responding to urges. Like we haven't really addressed like what to eat. So I think that's a little bit of hope, right? When someone is like trying to lose weight and they're struggling, they keep thinking that I can't lose weight. It's because the way we've been trying to lose weight before is like following some strict diet and following some exercise routine, but it hasn't taught us like how to navigate life as it is, which involves all these other elements to it. In terms of food waste, comes up a lot. Clean your plate society, you have to finish everything I give you. It's a
Right.
struggle even for me to help people see that there's another way. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. It's when we eat, we want to stop when we've had enough, when we feel satisfied. And we can't always guess what that's going to be when we put the food on the plate. So it would be typical and normal when you're trying to stop, when you're feeling satisfied, that you would leave some food on the plate because you might have put too much on. And if you put too little on, you should have a little bit more if you're still hungry. Right. And so either way, there shouldn't be any judgment for that. But I feel that feeling of waste as well. So sometimes we can put it back in for leftovers. That's fine. But sometimes it's a helpful exercise to leave a little bit on the plate and throw it away because we can shift what we're going to do if we have always put too much on our plate. And now we realize, oh gosh, I keep doing that and still not eating all that's there. But I even get people that worry about themselves as citizens of the world. And I remind them that we do not feed the starving children by eating everything that's on our plate. We feed them by sending money and changing systems, government systems, and that will feed the starving children. But that one actually comes up quite a bit as well for people.
And I think I actually used to feel the same way because I grew up knowing this is part of my upbringing too. It's like my mom and dad, they always told me like they experienced real hunger. I really did not experience real hunger until I found this method and style of coaching people. I truly had never felt what real hunger is. It's just striking as a grown adult, never knowing what real hunger is. Emotional hunger, yes, but true food hunger I hadn't felt. So the food waste was a big deal for me because I also used to say, there's starving kids in India and I have this food, I should eat it. And when
Right.
I started realizing that exactly what you said, like me eating this isn't going to give them food, but it also taught me that when I started leaving a little bit of food behind, I actually allowed it as like a practice to see what I really needed. That's some extra food there. It created that space because I was like all about like things I used to struggle with, but I used to like scarf down food really fast.
Yeah.
And I used to leave food there. I'm like, oh, I could be full off of just that much. I had no clue. I'm done. What's that? This
Yeah.
is different. And it was more of experimenting with myself, like seeing what is enough. And so I like that practice of leaving just a couple bites because a couple bites doesn't feel like there's like you're restricting yourself. A couple bites left on the plate
Yeah.
just feels, oh, there's just a couple bites. And then seeing what that means on the plate, it just felt very different and letting it go. It did give me some wins. Like it gave me some control. It made me feel like there's a little less here. I did something different. And then I got less next time.
And then we've all had the experience too, where we go to a new restaurant that everyone's raving about. And I oftentimes sit down and I think, I wonder if this, how much food they're going to bring us. This has this very imaginative description of what the food is. And you're thinking, I wonder what this is going to look like. And am I going to get this big pile of food or is it just going to be a little bit on there? We need to eat the amount that's good for us. And sometimes we have no idea what's going to be on that plate they bring to the table. So a lot of times it might be too much.
Yeah, I actually find more often than not, it's too much for me. Now that I've honed in, I'm like, this is too much. But I guess the same thing, right? When a loved one asks you and like shoves food on you, you just have to go. Same thing at the restaurant. I can eat this tomorrow or the next day or several days, or maybe not eat it at all. It's whatever my choice is. I could talk to you for hours. Is there any other thing that you think is important for even a women over 50 to know? Talked a lot today.
Sure. I would say one thing I really like to tell people is that with our digestive hormone system, we are meant to have some space in between our meals, some time where we are not eating. So you can drink water or tea or coffee that doesn't have anything in it, because those things also do not make our digestive system turn on and do stuff. But we need a little time in between. So I think a lot of us think, I'm having a couple of cherry tomatoes off the counter in the kitchen. It's healthy. But when we keep the digestive system working all the time, it doesn't get into a fat burning mode. It doesn't get into a natural fat burning mode. So it's actually, if people want to just try something that seems so basic, like having 3 meals during the day, and if they get hungry at another time, well, I'm hungry. I can feel an emptiness in my stomach or some gurgling, then have something to eat. But just try having 3 meals and see, is the experience different? Does my weight change at all?
I love that you said that. So prior to getting trained in obesity medicine, learning about insulin and the gut hormones, and also getting life coach certified, for so many years, I told everybody like have 3 meals a day, snacks in between. And then I also followed that. And then I couldn't understand why the weight wasn't coming off. Like I did a great job of maintaining, but I couldn't get those 30 pounds off that I had gained through adulthood. So it wasn't until I started practicing this, like answering the hunger and then also creating space. And it was so bizarre to go from having 5 or 6 mini meals. Like I felt like I was constantly eating to keep up.
Yeah.
And then going to just having food when it felt right. I started with the 3 meals, like you're saying. In that space, I think I panicked a little, like, wait, what? You want me to eat at 6 and then I'm gonna eat at 12? I did not think I could
Right. Yeah. Sleep. I thought I'm going to be hangry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and because we had been before, right? Like, we had been hungry, but I think just recognizing that it's a little uncomfortable, we're going back to feeling that discomfort again
Yeah.
and
Yep.
filling ourselves with some fat and whole food. Like, we can make it.
Yeah. I like to tell people the perfect meal has some protein, some fiber, which is probably vegetables and
Mhm.
fruit and healthy fat.
Yeah.
And really, if you have that, then it's really much easier to go longer.
Yeah, then it helps our brain because these whole foods are creating excess cravings for us and it helps our digestion. So really what's available for us to eat is fantastic and it matches us really well.
Yes. There's a lot of people too who say when I was 30, I lost weight with all those little meals. And at 50, it really doesn't work.
Really, it's so true. And I think both of us being family doctors, we see how things do change throughout I think we have that perspective, right? From cradle, like how people's life changes, their body's function and physiology changes. I do always put like an asterisk. What's working for you may not work for your growing children or may not work for members in your household. And that's okay too, because we're all individual. So for you, maybe this is the right way, but maybe for somebody else, it's not right for them. I love all of this. Oh, with exercise. Let's talk there. How
Sure.
thoughts on exercise?
I think that they keep trying to prove that exercise helps with weight loss, and it never quite shows that, which the hard part is that having also told people to eat less and move more as a younger doctor, I feel bad about that. I think exercise is great for weight maintenance. Even the people I work with, we work for 12 weeks, and around week 8, I talk to people who aren't exercisers and say, okay, we know it's good for your health and it will help you maintain your weight once you lose the weight you want. So that's its role. I don't tell people to stop exercising unless they're doing what you said, death by treadmill. Like people who are counting out the calories, what they end up doing is raising their cortisol levels and their body feels like there's some emergency. We are working out so hard. I think there's an emergency. We should keep hold of all of our fat in every food store we have.
Yeah, I would say I do run. I do like my treadmill, but back then there was a point where it felt like that and nothing was moving. Now it is more from like a place of self love, and I do it because of all the other benefits. It has nothing to do with weight. I like the way I feel when I work out. I like the way I sleep when I work out specifically. I love the energy. So this was all very good. I think to summarize, we've covered a lot of ground where women over 50 can lose weight, and a lot of it has to do with changing their mindset, putting themselves first, strategizing in areas where they may overeat and not recognize it,
Right.
and eating foods that I think naturally support your digestive health and your brain like reward cycles and craving cycles. So impact these are all really good. And someone wants to work with you, how can they find you?
They sure can. So if you look up my name, HeatherAwadMD.com, you can find me there. I'm also on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram. So I'm easy to find places. I do have a podcast as well, the Vibrant MD podcast, where we talk about weight loss and women's health.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining me. This is very valuable.
Thanks for having me. It's been really fun.